Howdy. I recently came across something I'd never seen before called the Wahlstrom Automatic Chuck. Now, there are videos on YouTube you can watch to figure out how to use this thing. Um, but mine wasn't working, and I wanted to find out how to get into it. And there wasn't anything on YouTube and no videos. So, this is my opportunity to do a payback video, and maybe it'll help somebody in the future figure out how to break into this thing. So, what's going on here? There's basically three main components to this thing. There's the jaw body, which has the jaws in it here. There's a rotating sleeve on the outside, a knurled sleeve, and there's a shank that is connected to the jaw body via threaded connection, which you'll see. Now, this rotating sleeve, there's a spring inside here, coiled spring, which allows this to move. You can see the little bit of motion right there. When we're going into it and when you're putting this back together, you want to try to have the chuck compressed like this, because what we're going to do is try to get into that little cavity right there that's cut out. Inside of that, on the ID of this sleeve, is a wire, sort of a wire clip, a wire spring clip. And what we're going to do is get something sharp into that cavity, and we're going to pry the wire towards the chuck jaws, and I think we'll be able to see if I can get it to focus right. The ends of the clip are right in here. They're usually just across from, I don't know if you can see it. Can't see it on this one, but they're right about in here. So we're going to pry that spring clip towards the chuck body, and then pull it up and over that lip that's on the ID of this knurled sleeve. Now, I just use a screwdriver that I had. It was actually broken, and I sharpened it, but I just pry that in there, and now I'm going to pull up on the sleeve and push it and compress it to give it room so that I can get this thing up and over that lip on the ID, and then that spring will just pop right off. Now we're going to grab the jaw body with one hand and the shank with the other, and we're going to try to, we're turning lefty, hold this one steady and turn lefty loosey with this, and what you'll see is right in here it'll start to open up, and that spring will come out of there. Yeah. There it goes. And what happens is this neoprene, there's a polyurethane ring, pretty hard plastic ring in here, and it also catches on that lip that holds that retaining clip in there. But once you get it back, now we can continue to unscrew it, and you'll see that the jaw body comes apart with the spring, and now up inside of here, the outer ring, it looks like there's an outer ring here. What that is it's a planetary gear kind of a system. And if you just tip it upside down and bump it a little bit, mine's oiled. I've been into this one before, so it comes apart pretty easily. But there's the outer ring of the gears. And then left inside is the pinion gear for that. That just slips up and over and off of the shaft. And the last thing that's in here is this gear that has a, see if I can get a picture of it here. So there's a keyway cut in this shaft, and then there's also a round key that's in that last gear, and it's in a dead end cavity. So what we got to do is hold the gear towards the top and bump it and try to get that little round there. It came forward. I don't know if you can see it there, but that little key, and we'll just flick it off of there, up out of that keyway, and there's the little round key that came out of it. That's what keeps that gear from coming off the shaft, and now with that removed, we can just slide the shaft right up and out of there. And this is what we're left with. That first ring gear there, And here's the shaft. Now, this has a Morris taper. When I got it, this was bent. It was bent really pretty badly. I tried to straighten it. I got it within a few thousandths, but it still gives the chuck, if you've got a 2 or 3 inch bit in that chuck, gives it quite a bit of run out on the end. So basically this thing is just for parts, but I thought I'd use it to demonstrate how to get one of these apart. Now, I have not been into this jaw body. I suspect, take this neoprene ring off. This also had the ring was broken, and I believe that these jaws on this one got bent and they're contributing to the run out of this thing. There's a plunger up inside there now, and what I'm doing is just threading this into there. It's pushing on that plunger, and that plunger activates the jaws, which you'll see here. And when I get it turned up as tight as I can get it, you can see that the jaws aren't lining up really very well. This one jaw is all whacked out. And I think that might be part of why that shank, when the shank got bent, it also damaged one of those jaws up in there. So I didn't concern myself with going into that jaw body, but I suspect that this cap here somehow threads out of the main body because there's no other way to get into it from this end. So it has to be from this end, and I've not been in there. If I get into there, I'll make another video to show how that happens, how you get into that. But basically, that'll get you into the working components. You can clean these up and re-oil them and make it work well again. And going back is kind of just the opposite. So let's see if we can do this. What we're going to do is take the shaft, place it through the main body. Now, if you look in the bottom there, there's 3 pockets, and on the back side of this planetary gear thing, there's 3 posts that are sticking out. And what you're doing when you're compressing the sleeve and getting it to move on the shaft is you got to get it lined up with those pockets so that it'll do that. And I'll show you that here in just a second. So we'll slip this through. We'll take the gear that's got the dead end pocket for the keyway. You see that there. You can see that there's a dead end in there for that key, so it can't slide out the back side of the gear. And when it's inside there and it's all together, the whole assembly can't slide off the front end of that keyway. Now I'm just going to take that round key, set it into there, into the keyway, and we'll slide it back, and it went right in. Had it lined up and it went right in, so now you can see that key is up in there. Now we'll take this gear. This is the pinion gear, I believe, for the planetary thing, or reduction, whatever it is. And you see there's 2 lands that are machined onto there. Those go up. In fact, the best way to put it together is to put this thing with the posts facing the pockets, and then the lands go opposite, thread it up into this. You got to turn it sometimes to get the gears to mesh and line up, and you put it like yay, and then just thread it onto the shaft. If you have everything cleaned and oiled. Now I turn this thing until I get it to fall into those 2-3 pockets. That makes it easier for getting this thing together. Next, now we'll take the jaw body. I want to make sure that I have that neoprene seal, or that polyurethane, whatever it is, on there. And I got to turn my hands around so that I can do this the way that I'm used to doing it. But put the spring into the cavity, and we'll start threading this down onto the jaw body. And then it's just a matter of holding on to, there's oil on this, so I got to hold on to the Morris taper end with a rag. We're going to just keep turning the jaw body and thread it down onto there. And keep tucking that spring in. It's going to want to pop out of there. And then at some point you should be able to slide that collar all the way up and onto there. Now I'm putting pressure up with this thumb. It's not landing in those pockets quite yet. You'll know when it hits. Just got to keep working it and turning it until you get it to pop into those. And what it'll do is it'll give you more room in here to get this retainer ring onto it. Because if you don't have the space, then it works real hard trying to get that retainer ring down onto there. Also, you have to take a flat screwdriver, kind of press down into there to get that neoprene to go there. It went down all the way in. Now it's sitting all the way down into there. And this is just a matter of you keep working this ring. The end of the ring, the two ends that are open, have always been opposite of the cutout right there. So you just kind of put it on there opposite, and then I tuck those two ends down in there. I'm also holding pressure. If you notice that spring, I'm holding pressure to hold that down in. And it's just a matter of doing that and working that spring around. And it can be a little bit of a task. So I'm going to do it off camera, and I'll be back. Okay, I got it started now. The two ends are there, and when you get the two ends tucked in, it'll help hold it, and then work your thumbs around here and just snap that ring down into there. And if need be, use a screwdriver to help tap it down into there and make sure that it expands out into that groove on the ID of that sleeve, and it's back together. Takes two hands, and you got to try to hold that pressure out of that body spring, but that's how it goes back together. So I hope that was helpful. How to disassemble a Wahlstrom automatic chuck.